whip 'em out. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on the trip. We're going to make it get it on with the show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Bold Run.
Cool.
Eddie Trunk is our guest, music historian, TV and radio show host. Of course, you know, 14 seasons of That Metal Show and voting member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
We have questions.
We'll talk about...
Do my best to give you answers.
We'll talk about who got in, who shouldn't be in, who needs to be in. But quickly this. I was talking to Chris, and I said, okay, so I know Devo was nominated, but did Devo get in? Is UFO in? Who's in? Who's
UFO.
not in? I love UFO.
So do I.
Eddie loves UFO. Then he said, and I said, Pat Benatar? No. And then so Chris said, yes, Pat Benatar and Devo were snubbed. And I said, no. Pat
Define
Benatar
snub.
was snubbed.
Indeed,
Devo
yes.
should have never been on that fucking ballot. They're a novelty weird band that wears plastic potted plant heads and they fucking suck. And he said, well, yeah, but they're both snubbed. And I said, no, snubbed is you deserve the Oscar and you didn't get it.
Right.
But this is you never deserved it, but you didn't get it. And he said in his world, it's just snubbed means you didn't get it.
No, that's not what I said. I'm just saying people do consider Devo to be snubbed. Like I'm not.
No, you said snub means not getting in.
After being nominated.
After being nominated. And
Yeah.
I said, yes, but that's not my definition of snubs. Devo sucks, is what I'm
well-
saying.
Snub has opinion attached to it inherently.
Yes, Pat Benatar should get in. Devo shouldn't get in. Thus, she was snubbed, but the other wasn't. It happens in the Oscars
Yeah, of course.
every year.
Sure.
But,
All-Star game is whatever.
But snubbed has now entered the lexicon as of not getting in
Right.
Yeah.
versus should have.
In that case,
didn't.
we were all snubbed of getting Oscar nominations.
That's true. Everyone
That's
didn't
true.
get
We
one.
should have been
Very
nominated.
offended.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Eddie has been in rock and roll coming up on 40 years, DJing. and-
Professionally, yeah. Music fan before that, of course, but yeah. Started right out of high school.
So we'll get into that. First, breaking news, another pathetic Kia commercial.
Oh, terrific.
I've said, watch the commercials. You know where we're at from a society standpoint. And commercials are usually a little ahead, almost pushing us in this direction. Like the idea that Gillette would come out with a toxic masculinity
Dude.
commercial was when I grew up. Razor commercials where dude was shaving, hot chick was wearing one of his oversized Van Heusens behind him and stroking
Yeah.
his free cheek.
That's
you
a
know?
good observation because commercials for their history have just been what is now. What is now, the products, the styles, the whatever, what is now. And in the last 5, 10 years, whatever it's been, commercials are, no, this is what should be.
Where
This
we're
is what will
going,
be, where
yeah.
we're going, where we should be headed.
Right. So Kia's first entry was that pussy who was driving along the beach, combing up all the plastic bottles.
Some
in
say
his
hero, you say pussy.
Modified Kia.
Yeah.
So that the turtles had a place to lay their eggs. But there's another one.
Okay.
A new offering I saw over the weekend,
Oh, back to the beach.
which is this is a couple. I hope you guys are sitting down. I think they're kind of mixed race.
Come on.
Very naughty. You don't see it on TV.
Taboo.
And they're driving around the streets of Seattle as a rainstorm is blowing in.
Forecast calls for scattered thunderstorms, strong to severe. The flash flood watch is
Got their Kia,
Taking
they got
boxes
out.
supplies.
Team.
I've seen this. Yeah, they got supplies.
hanging up rain jackets and then circling
Is
the
that a thing?
city. No, it's not a thing. But neither's driving on the beach
Where'd the
and
hangers
collecting
come
bottles.
So they're just putting up like North Face jackets for people just to take.
Yes, feeling good about themselves because the rain has come and the homeless need a slicker.
Can that not be accomplished in any other car?
You obviously don't know gear ratios and torque and
I don't. That's why I'm asking the car guy.
I would think like this is a really good commercial for a 501c3 nonprofit.
It would have been a good commercial for the all-wheel drive that got traction even with the
Torrential
rain-slick
rain.
roads. And Because back then, people would be going over, like there'd be a log that fell in front of the road and no one else could get through it, but you and your Subaru could go on the dirt and get around it because you have the all-wheel drive and the clearance to do it.
From what I've heard about what's going on in Seattle, that's not nearly enough jackets. I think. From what I heard about the homeless problem, I got a feeling there are going to be way more jackets than the ones they showed you
That's a
there.
good point.
Yeah, so there's that. And then the other thought, the word good has come in a lot. Like,
Go on.
like I was flying United on the way back over the weekend or last week from New York, and it was like, good leads the way. It's just everything is kind of, it used to be safety oriented, or there was like, basically, the airlines would talk about like on time arrivals.
Yeah.
Like we are better on time and we have the most leg room. And commercials used to talk, their on time version was mileage and powertrain warranty and sticker price and
Boot to
all
bumper.
that. Right. It's
For
a
the
lot.
airlines, it was pitch. 4 extra inches of pitch.
Right. In the seats, now it's just, we're good. Just to the good. We just
Well, I
do
like
good.
when airlines promote their safe. Like,
yeah.
it's an airline. Like, our main concern is getting you there safely.
Hardly any
Shouldn't that
accidents.
be every, like, is
Goddamn,
there
it better
an
be.
airline that's a little less safe that we should know about? Like,
But that makes sense that they've transitioned because no airplanes are on time. There's
Right.
no leg room, so they have to do
And
something,
You
you know,
can't
heady.
you can't quantify good. Good
Right.
good is a claim.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of seats and size and everything kind of shrinking, I was doing Damashek and Cousin Sal's podcast today, and I was sort of stumbled into this analogy, but it seems kind of insane. So Americans are getting bigger, and then seats are getting smaller, and you know, the airline wants to get as many seats as they possibly can on an aircraft. So stand to reason there's not going to be a lot of chaise lounges and full recliners. And they're going to get as many people as they can. But the problem is while they're sort of shrinking it down, like 2x4s used to be 2 inch by 4 inch. Now they're 1.5 by 3.5, and they just keep shaving just to pick up a little on the margins. Seats are getting smaller. Passengers are getting bigger. That's an issue. And I thought, and so back to the automobiles. Now, the automobiles have figured out that when I was young, a mini truck was a mini truck. There wasn't the full extendo cab. There's no Toyota or Nissan that was a miniature truck now. Now they're all kind of jumbo. And people are going along in their SUVs, and the car companies have figured out people's asses are getting fat. We need bigger things to carry them in. But airlines don't have that luxury. They can't just keep growing width and length. But I was thinking to myself, think about that airline seat, and today's airline seat, and now picture those two big, fat Americans getting in a sports car from the 60s, like an MG or a Triumph or just a two-seater little. What would that look like?
Ridiculous.
And then now that's what's going on airplanes. Those two little seats right next to each other with big fat ass in there.
You're right. It's both because they are making the seats smaller. So why don't they just make the seats, put them back the way they were and charge more because you can't fit as many people?
Yes. And then here's here was Cousin Sal's take. If you get on a Southwest flight and you don't have an assigned seat and it's not 100% full, find a row that has a fat guy against the window, and then you take the aisle, and nobody's taking that middle seat.
That's a really
but
good
it might
idea.
be out of necessity. Most flights I'm on now are not anywhere close to. I just flew yesterday from Vegas to Santa Barbara. Our flight took 4.5 hours with delays. Yeah. And when you got on it, they were offering people $600 to get off because they didn't have any open seats. Like everything's overbooked. So it's just like having that luxury is
a luxury.
a luxury. I mean, it's crazy. I fly constantly, so it's and I'm the guy. Look, I'm I'm 6'2", 250. I'm the guy walking down the aisle. People don't
looking
want to see
away.
sit
Don't
next to
take
them
my
either.
armrest.
I'm pretty wide. I mean,
think I didn't say to cousin Sal, you may be that guy.
I'm not any illusion, but there's still plenty of people I see coming down the aisle. I mean, no. I mean, I just saw somebody get wheeled into a Starbucks off of a plane because they couldn't walk.
Oh, boy.
They could walk off the plane, but they were wheeled by a Southwest attendant to the Starbucks in Vegas airport yesterday to place their order, like a handler. Like an airline assigned a handler to a person who just – now, I get it. It's different if you're injured or you have a handicap of some sort. But this person was more than capable of getting up and going to the bathroom and function. She just did not want to take the walk from the gate to the Starbucks.
Well, my policy, if I'm wheeling you to the Starbucks, is you can get no beverage with a dome lid. Because,
With the
listen,
cream.
fat ass, there's a reason I almost fucking ended up in this wheelchair pushing your fat ass around the terminal. Number one, yes, stay away from the muffins. There's nothing with a dome lid. But I'm thinking back, and I think there's maybe a way to make something positive out of these overbooked flights where they're now like, all right, we're offering a $300 voucher.
The big news story was $10,000 to get off this flight. They can do that.
I take it every time
Same.
if I can do it. I take it every time.
I will say a strategy that I will probably share with my son, which is if you see a nice looking lady get up and walk off of this flight for a $400 voucher, you leave too.
That's good.
And then you confront her by the gate and you go, look, obviously you can be bought.
You have
Now,
a price.
You have a price.
And it's around $300.
A blowjob lasts 15 minutes max.
You're going to be in the
This
airport
flight,
for 2 hours.
Yeah,
at
you get a
least.
fucking hotel here. You're telling me? I mean, look, I didn't make the rules. You got up. You left.
set the price. You set the market.
Yes.
Wow. This is on me because I thought this was going to be romantic.
No.
This is on me.
No, well, look, you've certainly got a better shot than the person that sits their ground on that plane.
Yes,
no
you're right.
price
No.
can get me off of this plane.
You're right.
Makes you
I'm just
wonder what
sad.
a grand buys.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, buddy.
Well, that's kind of what
Kind
I'm
of where
saying.
you're going.
10,000
$10,000. Let me find the story.
to get off of a plane.
Yeah, it's like it's like you overbooked it. Like let that person take the next flight. I don't get it.
Well, you look that up. Speaking of travel, two updates. One is we stayed at a cool hotel. Like everyone is. So when we were in Springfield, Missouri, we stayed at kind of a hip new hotel. Like this is
the hotel to stay at.
Is it called the hotel?
Hotel
Hotel Vandevort?
Vandevort.
La, la.
Nicely done. But I normally don't like the maids coming in and remaking the room. I just don't. I got my
Yeah.
stuff spread out
Same.
everywhere. I don't like it when they come in. I feel like there may be some judgment involved. And also, I can stay in a room for 2 days without having
Yeah.
the bed made up or
Same.
turned down or anything. I'm fine. So I try to do the do not disturb, but the do not disturb just needs to be red or green.
Take a lesson from Fogo de Chao.
At this fucking point.
From Bubba Gumps. Run, Forrest, run. Stay, Forrest, stay.
Right. Red is just back off,
Yeah.
and green is come on down. And I'm reading these signs. First off, I'm not sure what side means what.
Oh.
And now
They're often clever, and it's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
catching some Z's. It's like, all right, am I in the room?
I took a photo of them and I sent them to Chris.
Oh, this is too much.
This is not the door you're looking for.
The droids, okay.
Building a flux capacitor, send plutonium.
Back to the future, okay.
Bacon deliveries only. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, I like bacon, but I think this is farcical.
Yeah.
Send plutonium. I don't know if that means go get the
bring it-
vacuum
bring
it to
cleaner
me.
or whatever. And then I flipped them over to try to figure out what's the side that says
What?
do come in or don't come in.
Wow.
This is confusing. One says nope. One says we're not decent. And one says bugger off.
Bugger off means like fuck off,
Yeah.
right?
There's a part of me that's like, you got the fucking put upon Guatemalan
That's what I
woman
was
with
gonna
the
say.
6 kids whose old man left 6 years ago. I don't want to tell her to fuck herself because
No.
she's trying to do her
No.
job.
Trying to figure out the nuance and how clever you want to be. When's the last time a housekeeper at a hotel was not somebody that English was their second language, and now they're supposed to know movie trivia?
Yeah. Or how about we just keep going? Like, kill yourself, cunt. Like, it feels a little aggressive. I'm not sure what it means. And I don't.
KS plutonium.
So I'm standing there in my underwear going, plutonium side means, but all
Bring
sides
plutonium?
mean don't
Go
show,
away.
go
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
But then I don't know what means make it up.
Yeah. Usually the
nothing.
flip is the flip side.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about what bathrooms you're supposed to go in anymore? I don't know how to read those signs anymore.
Yes, those are getting tough
I literally
too.
will sit there and look at, there will be like 3 or 4 doors, and I'm like, okay, is that a skirt going
That's-
right?
And
Is
it's half
that
a skirt.
It's not
It's
a
a half
skirt.
skirt.
Is that what?
Just give me the triangle
Just tell
dress.
me where
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
urinal is. That's
Yeah.
all I'm looking for.
Yeah, so let's just go red and green. There's international travelers. They don't get the subtle nuance of the flux capacitor.
Wow.
Let's just go red and green. I find
be
myself
nice.
staring at these things, and then I'm like, well, then if I put nothing out, are they going to come?
Yes.
And make the room
Yes.
out versus telling them to bugger off.
Yes,
Like
because
Gina
that's how they
said,
know.
like you said with movie trivia, a flux capacitor is not a thing. That is a made-up thing.
You try to Google it?
Requires you to be intimately familiar with Back to the Future.
Yeah.
At least plutonium is a thing. You
Yeah.
can kind of reason with what that is. A flux capacitor is like a MacGuffin.
The best move on the hotels is when they have the light inside where you just push. Have you seen that? A red or green light.
Like a doctor's office.
And outside, if you hit red outside the door, a little red light goes on, and green, that means it's okay. And that's nice because those signs, I find, tend to be stolen by other people in hotels who didn't get a sign in their room.
What?
And they
That's
want to
fucked
make
up.
sure they not that I've ever done such a thing, Gina, but
One might.
if you don't have a sign, one might pull one from someone's door.
From the person who says, don't
Because
disturb
they
me.
don't want to be disturbed. Screw that guy. Let him take the bullet. But if you have the light, it's built in. It's
That's
integrated.
smart.
You don't have to worry about the sign being fallen or flipping the wrong way or whatever.
You get it at the gynecologist office. The same with the little light outside when you've
It's like a doorbell light.
derobed.
Really?
Yep.
Green or red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the follow-up on that $10,000. It's just Delta. Delta did it. Reportedly offered passengers $10,000 to get off the overbooked flight from Michigan to Minnesota.
It wasn't even. It was a regional flight.
Michigan, $10,000.
Wow.
And I think I was watching some TikTok video about this kind of thing, about how you game the system, getting off the plane. And it said, like, contractually, they are allowed to offer you up to whatever, 10% of the whatever. So like $1,500. How it got up to $10,000 from Michigan to Minnesota
Well,
is
it's for
crazy.
flight credits, right?
Well, the other thing,
Yeah,
too, is
it
why
can't
would
be cash.
If they needed an open seat that bad, why wouldn't they have just bumped someone? Because
Yeah.
with airlines, everything's prioritized. Like
Right.
you mentioned, you flew United. I'm the highest level you could be for United. So they're never going to bump me because they see that I'm the 1K frequent flyer. They ask me what food I want first. If you have no status, which is most of the plane,
You're on the cutting
why
block.
would they? I mean, how many times have people gotten bumped? Why
Yeah.
would you give 10K and just say, hey, sorry, you got to go to another flight. You're bumped.
Or
Yeah.
hire professional plainclothes agitators. Like guy comes by, smells of alcohol. Hey, bitch, this is my seat. I'm sorry. Just get off my face, bitch. Next thing you know, a little scuffle.
Tussle.
Then you just come in and go, everyone's got it.
Yeah.
You guys got
All
it.
three of
We're
you
going to
gotta go.
settle
He
this
started it.
out.
I was sitting here.
Sweetie,
He's
please
drunk. Look
get
at
up.
him.
We're going to settle
This
this
is
out in the
insane. I'm
terminal.
not-
This is
Federal regulations.
Basically, the plot of The Cooler. William H. Macy went around and made people lose in the casino.
Or how about just not being so greedy that you don't overbook the flight to
Thank
begin
you.
with? God forbid everybody has that middle seat open where you can put your fat arms and not be bumping into someone. But they're so greedy to fill every seat, they overbook
Yep.
it, and I have no sympathy for them when they're in that
Same.
spot.
Well, there's more travel scam news, which is after telling the story of walking down the street in Manhattan and having Mike Lynch, co-author of Everything Reminds Me of Something, thank you very much, out as we speak, bang the elbow of a young gentleman of color and have the bag fall to the ground and bottles break. And how are we going to make this right? The guy was emphatic about I spent my own money. I'm a carrier. I'm taking it somewhere. Now this is going to come out of my pocket. And he kept saying to Mike, how do we make it right? Now, Mike didn't have any cash. And if Mike had $40 in his pocket, he would have handed this guy immediately. Come to find out, this is a scam.
Yes, it's true.
Boy.
It makes sense. I was saying, like, why would you have 2 wine bottles swinging in a plastic bag on your hip in a crowded whatever they both? So I guess the scam is go find a wine bottle, fill it with water, white wine, put it in the bag, swing it, smash it, and then get tourists to go into their fanny pack and give you $60.
That's fucked up.
Even if the person didn't hit the bag,
They
or
would
they
make
allege
sure
that
they
they
would-
hit the
Kinda-
bag, or they swing it into you.
Probably.
It's so crowded going down those sidewalks with half the salmon are going out to sea, the other salmon are going into spawn, and you're just passing you banging shoulders.
You'll get brushed. Whatever.
Yeah, you'll get brushed. You drop it, and then you steer yourself a little into the guy who looks like he's the hayseed. Bang his thigh, drop it, it breaks, and demand money.
The one I see all the time walking through Times Square that I feel so bad for the tourists, and I just want to say, no, don't do it, is, and I've seen this in other cities too, the rappers will make CDs of their music and just put them in CDR, like paper sleeves. Hey, check out my music as the family walks through Times Square, and here, have some of my music. Okay, thanks. You take the CD, you keep walking, right? And then, well, wait a minute, that's my art. Aren't you going to give me anything for it? Well, I didn't ask for it. I didn't want your CD. I want your. Well, come on, man. I mean, I'm a struggling. You got to help me out. And they'll pester them. And well, here, just take the CD back. No, come on, man. You don't want to support my art.
No.
And it just becomes like. I feel. I just when I see the person take the CD, I'm like, no,
Don't do it.
don't do it. And then I watch the person trail them for 5 blocks, badgering them for money and guilting them for not supporting their art.
The LA version, I'm sure you've all seen, is the photographer. They're taking the pictures with the characters.
Yeah, on
at
Hollywood
Hollywood
Boulevard.
Island. It's like, hey, I want a picture of Spider-Man.
Sure.
I'm 12 years old. Of course I do. All right, that'll be $5.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, okay.
The fun CD one that they do over at the Empire Center in Burbank is with all the mask mandate shit. I gave this guy credit. This was good. He stopped me. He's like, hey, excuse me, ma'am. Did you know you can't go into that Michael's without a mask? You think he's going to say, one of my CDs. And I was like, I like you. I'm not giving anything, but that was good. He's there all day, every day, because I spend a lot of time
This all started with the
Asian guy.
squeegee
Yeah,
guys.
Asian.
Yeah.
This all started with the let me clean your windshield.
At least they're performing a service.
Exactly. That was big in New York, and then I think it was Giuliani shut it down. And I haven't seen it in a while, but last week I'm at my place in Vegas, and I hit the corner at the 15 in one of those side streets.
Really?
And there was a guy, old school, running out with the squeegee. And I agree. You don't feel so bad kicking a buck if they. Most of the time, the water's dirtier than what your
Right.
windshield
They're
is like.
wiping it with a
destroys it.
newspaper.
Always a newspaper. And the thing about the squeegee guy is they never ask. They start,
Right.
and now you're in.
Yeah.
Like the white kid version of that is we're going to put your address on the curb in front of your house. They spray paint it on there. You didn't ask for it. They just did it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, hey, man, what are we going to do about this thing that you never asked for?
do about this?
This may be sacrilege, but James Caan, the great James Caan, passed, I think it was last week.
Yeah.
And they were showing a lot of clips from him, from Godfather, stills and things like that. And I thought, it's interesting. The Godfather, I had to look it up, but The Godfather was shot in the early 70s, 71. But it took place from 45 to like 53.
Michael just got back from the war. He's a war hero.
James Caan had a Jufro.
He
Yes,
sure
he
did.
did.
And that's not 19. There's a junior
sure
fro
did.
he has than that,
his
Chris.
wife beater and
yes, I
suspenders,
mean,
yeah.
he's got the dry look
Yes.
and kind of a jufro. And in the 70s, that
the look.
worked. But this is 1945. And I would say the same thing about MASH. It's in one of my books. But MASH, the TV show, that was Korean War. Korean War, that was 1950. These guys were in the military with big pork chop sideburns and a bushy mustache and a big old Jufro on top. That didn't exist.
Do we just not have any perspective when we're in our own time? Because that's like Romeo and Juliet from the 70s. She had feathered hair, so I thought they had feathered hair in Verona.
Every Elvis movie, he's got the pomade.
Yeah, right.
He's an old West gunslinger,
Right.
but he's got the hair slicked back.
Is that a choice, or do we just not notice, like asking a fish what water is?
We don't notice in the time like we decorate, like we take our house from the 20s and we go shabby chic because we go, oh, this is cool
Matching.
now. Or we remod the kitchen from the Spanish bungalow from 1923, but we remod it in 75, so it looks like the Brady Bunch kitchen. Everyone goes, hey, that's an awesome kitchen. It's like, not in a few years, it's not.
Eyesore.
We do it with hair and fashion as well. But,
Fredo had a little bit of that 70s hair going on, especially in Godfather 2. It was very long and stringy, and it wasn't like late 40s hair.
Did you guys see a show on Paramount Plus that came out recently called The Offer?
Yes.
Have you heard of it?
I've seen like a
loved
few
it.
of the episodes. Yeah, it's about.
If you're a Godfather fan, I don't know how accurate it is, but
It's great,
about
though.
it's a show about the making of the Godfather. Not a doc.
No.
It's an acted show. But if those, I don't know how much of that storyline is true, but it's pretty crazy. If
The
it
guy
is.
who plays Bob Evans is a fucking triumph.
Fantastic.
He's
yeah.
great.
Matthew Good is his
Oh, is
real
it?
name.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Bob. I love the real Bob Evans.
Yeah.
It's just to hear. He must have passed away.
Long
he
time
did.
ago.
But-
You know who-
20 years
Well, no,
ago.
there was a doc on
Hasn't been
him.
that long
The
because
kid
he
stays
was
in the
making
picture?
he was making the rounds and stuff.
No,
when-
wasn't that because there was a documentary on him? The kid stays
Yeah.
in the picture. That
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago, and he was in it. So
I was in the
maybe
impression it
10
was like
years,
mid-2000s.
maybe.
Could be wrong.
could be.
He died in 2019.
Oh, wow. Oh, we're
Oh,
totally
The name
wrong.
Bob Evans gets ink, baby. I love to hear that guy talk
We
about it.
should talk because you hosted a show about music documentaries, yeah? This was a few years ago.
Number of years ago, yeah.
Yeah, but at the time you must, I mean, obviously The Last Waltz and all the classics, but like had Sugarman come out, had Searching for, 20 Years from Stardom, all these great music docs that have come out in the last.
I didn't source the docs. Like I just did raps
Just did
for it, so
raps.
it wasn't like my thing. But I
But you
am
had to be knowledgeable about them to some
yeah,
extent.
I'm a massive fan of documentaries of any kind. Like obviously, if it's music, it's right in my wheelhouse. But I'll watch a documentary literally on anything, even if it's not something that I'm into. So it's my favorite kind of movie by far to watch. So
The Wrecking Crew doc is a great music doc
Yeah, Muscle Shoals
as
are all
well.
great.
That's another very good one.
You ever see Young
there's
at
one
Heart?
called Hired Gun, if you've never seen it, about hired gun musicians and how they live. And like Liberty DeVito, Billy Joel's drummer, is in that, just crushing Billy Joel because of how he treated him and as a hired gun and all of that. It's not all that. It's not all killing the people, but just how these people make a living. You can be fairly anonymous and still make a really nice living playing as a musician.
Steve Lukather has to be in this.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Lukather, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Nicky Hopkins, the famous session keyboard guy who just played on every album, never got paid. You know what I mean? Just
you're an employee. You
just
don't get
gun
equity.
for hire,
Yeah.
like getting $150 for the day's session
Right.
work.
Crazy.
Meanwhile, the record sells a million. You know, he's playing with the Rolling Stones and the Who and all the huge bands, and they sell millions of records, and he just got us $200.
One of my favorite questions in the world is, what kind of back end do I have on the video games I voice?
Yes,
That
And the
makes me
answer-
cry.
Oh,
Zero.
zero.
Just that day in the booth.
All right. Well, we'll talk about snubs, possible snubs to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Or
and
maybe
then-
not, according to you.
Or maybe not.
Maybe just bands that suck.
Maybe it's just bands that suck. And we'll do all that because how long have you been a voting member?
I guess roughly 8 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So you voted on a lot of
Yeah, there's a
bands,
very really important distinction here, and I know you got a piece of copy there to read, so I'll get into it when we get into it. But there's a really important distinction between being a voter and being the people in the room that nominate the acts. So I'll clarify that if you guys don't know, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you're ready to dive
right,
in or you
yeah.
want to do something.
All right.
Please.
Well, first, let me tell you about Etsy. Hey there, kiddos. Let me tell you about shopping on Etsy. Well, I love to shop on Etsy because it's affordable. It's one-of-a-kind things made by real people. Whether you're shopping for yourself or for other people, Etsy has home decor, kids' toys, clothing, and jewelry, and so much more at great prices. Instead of the usual mass-produced items, choose something that's completely original as well as affordable. The products you'll find on Etsy Marketplace are made or chosen by real people and sold at great prices. Buying from independent makers and sellers means that you know the stories behind the things you shop for and the people who make them with care and attention to fit your budget. And I think our own producer, Gary, got his sister a laser-etched decanter on Etsy that looks awesome. You'll love it, too. Am I right, Dawson?
New to Etsy? Use code HELLO10 at checkout for 10% off your first purchase. That's code HELLO10. Maximum value of $50. Ends October 31st, 2022. See terms at etsy.com/terms. Extraordinary, handmade, affordable. Etsy has it. Shop Etsy.com.
Eddie Trunk is here. He's a music historian. He's a host. He's a raconteur. Of course, that metal show, so many years you remember that on VH1. I think it was on VH1.
VH1 Classic.
Yeah.
Very important distinction there because not quite the same budgets, which is a whole nother story. But
we'll talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all things rock and roll right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam. I just want to tell you I agree with about 95% of what you say. However, your opinion on Devo, completely wrong. And I actually think the reason you were late to, I went to your show in Denver when Southwest delayed you, were actually at their show. The reason you were delayed, probably because of your hate of Devo, some kind of karmic bullshit thing. Just want to let you know, maybe you should change your opinion. Try their deeper cuts. They're pretty okay. Give it a shot. Have a good day. Bye.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
See, if you let Devo in, then you have to let in the B-52s.
Like novelty acts.
Yeah, I mean, the bands that are sort of... B-52s are better than Devo, but it's still like...
It opens the floodgates.
They're a novelty. They're a novelty act. And,
as he looks right at me.
They're fine. I mean...
What's next, Violent Femmes?
They're not my band, so I'm not a big fan of either. But
nobody likes Devo.
Well, Devo, it's weird because my audience is way more of a hard rock audience, but there's a big segment of... I do a radio show. One of my shows I do every year, which I just did a week ago on my Sirius XM show, is the top 5 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame snubs, meaning the top 5 bands you should feel should be in and are not. And every year I have to do that show because thankfully some of the bands on the snub list go in. But Devo's a band that, surprisingly to me even, the hard rock fans were... Devo should go in, man. Devo kicks ass. I'm like, is it real? Like,
do they?
Really? But the other thing about Devo is people who are pro Devo look at them as pioneers of electronic music.
Okay.
And these pioneers of how they made the music. And the Hall of Fame, one of their biggest criteria is influence. So they look at it as they are pioneers of electronic music. And I don't know their catalog, but there's people that tell me like that woman that listen to the deep tracks, not just whip it.
Yeah, there's things that are okay about them, and they sort of, I think of them as more ushering in nerd rock, which is kind of a thing. You know, maybe there would be no They Might Be Giants if there wasn't a Devo or something like that.
Ben Folds.
Yeah,
Weezer to an extent.
He's so much more accomplished than they. I mean, sonically, but yeah, all right. But it's called the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess kind of what I'm saying is like we have a Pro Football Hall of Fame, and you know this guy is a sidewinder, and he pioneered the European soccer style kick. It's like, yeah, but he still had to be in the league for 15 years and make a ton of field goals. It can't just be he gave other people ideas to do things that were better than his. I need a little more. It's the Hall of Fame.
Well, and on the other side of that coin, which we've talked about in here, is how when people started grumbling about Dolly, she's a goddess, but this is rock and roll, she agreed and said, I don't want to piss anybody off.
Dolly Parton became the hero of
As per
rock
usual.
fans everywhere the day she did that.
Yeah.
But then she quickly caved on it and folded her tent and said, "Oh, okay, well, I will go in and
I
I
thought
will
it was-
accept it." And she was nominated. She's going in.
Right.
That just shows you my fellow voters how whacked out of their skull
wow.
they are. Because even when she was basically saying "fuck you" to the Hall of Fame, they're like, "Come on in, even more. Let's get you in here."
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Yeah,
the fact
I remember-
that she said, "I'm not rock. What am I doing here?" You could say that about half of the bands in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm a huge critic of it, as many people know, even though I'm a voter. I can't believe they don't kick me out. But that's one of the reasons why I think they made me a voter. It was actually Tom Morello, who is on the nominating committee, who got me in to be a voter.
Oh, wow.
And but that doesn't stop me at all from speaking unfiltered about how I feel about it. And
Well, all right. So bigger picture then, and then we'll get into the more specific bands. I'm with you. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We don't need Donna Summer in there or
Whitney
Two Live
Houston.
Crew or whatever.
Janet
They're all
Jackson.
they're great artists. They've sold enough records. There's places for them to go to be not memorialized,
Adored
but
and
adored
celebrated.
and plaques to be hung on the wall. It's just this is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and now we're kind of, pardon the pun, muddying the waters. Who may be in there? I don't know.
it should be.
But and I guess you feel the same. And the problem is we're living in this new world order where everything's a hate crime. You know, if you go, hey, it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Whitney Houston does, oh, I get it. Set in your ways. You
Well, I don't know.
mean?
What
It's
about
like-
Fishbone? They're rock. They're black guys.
Yeah, it's everything takes a turn.
The entire
for sort
history of rock and roll music is black.
Living Color's not in, and they're actually a rock band.
Who?
Living Color.
Oh, right.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So who got snubbed in your opinion, and who should be in? I always say Pat Benatar because she's on
She's
the list
going
every
in.
year. Oh, she is.
She got in. She's
Okay,
in the
good.
next nomination. By the way, did you hear that Pat Benatar is no longer going to do "Hit Me with Your
Yeah.
Best Shot" live?
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
She's out. I want her out of that rock. I've been saying this for years. Get that bitch out of the Rock and Roll Hall.
She said, if you want to hear it, you can listen to it at home. With all the shootings and stuff, it just
Isn't that true of
not into
every
it.
band who performs live? If you'd like to hear our catalog, you may do so in the parking lot of the
You guys,
venue.
you guys are a great audience. If we didn't play your favorite song,
Tailgate.
it's available all day, every
I
day.
have never equated "Hit Me with Your Best Shot" with gun violence.
Yeah, I know.
It's just
Oh, I didn't.
That's why
even,
she's dropping
even now,
it.
I thought it was like punching
No.
or something.
Yeah, but because it says "hit me with
fire
your best
away.
shot," fire away. She doesn't
I-
feel comfortable singing it.
So
Oh boy.
this is like when the Dixie Chicks just start calling themselves chicks. It's just like, please stop it,
What are we
everyone. You don't need to apologize for everything. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. To me, felt like
Verbally.
someone would say at a press conference, you know,
Right.
like hit me with it,
Right.
fire
Right.
away.
Verbally.
I'll take on any question, you know. But
What about this song "Pumped Up Kicks"? Did we just everyone's cool with that? And it
Who
played.
is that? I don't
know
That's
what that
a
is.
Foster the
You don't
People
know
is
that song?
better run,
even I
better
know
run,
that.
I
outrun the
don't know
bullet.
it either.
Isn't it about a school
Yeah,
shooting?
that song's about a school shooting.
If you heard it, you'd know it. It's a big.
they don't
hit
play.
5
They don't
years
really
ago.
play that anywhere.
Oh, because I only would know it because it was on the radio.
Is she playing "Hell Is for Children"? Because she's talking about Grandpa, you know, molesting and beating the kids, and
That's
also-
cathartic.
yeah. So that's an anti-child abuse sort of thing.
Is it anti?
It always reminds me to abuse my kids whenever it comes on the radio. So I don't know if it's anti for me, but
It's like one movie's inherently glorify war.
She just announced this, by the way, but she did finally, and I thought she was a huge snub for years because she is a pioneer of women rock. And I mean, even going back to Fast Times, remember the great scene of they off the Pat Benatar haircut. I mean, whether
Right.
it was the fashion or the music, and she had some great records. So her and her husband, who has been her collaborator since pretty much day one, are both got voted in this year. So they were on. She was on my snub list for a long time, and now she can come off because she's going in.
When did she debut? 80-ish?
70s.
Oh, wow.
8-ish,
So
77
it's 25 years you have to be out in order
from
to
the
be.
first record.
So if we're still debating someone from 78, what chance does my precious Oasis have of getting give it a sniff
Fair.
of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
What was their first record, like 90 something?
94.
So do
Definitely
the math.
maybe.
So,
I mean,
right.
technically,
how long they've been eligible?
Technically, they're eligible.
For 5
14.
years.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean,
It seems
look,
like it's a
they're so head scratching in what they do and don't do. I wouldn't be surprised if they go in next year. I mean, because it doesn't make any sense. Not only does there's so many things wrong. They should have just called it the Music Hall of Fame.
Pop
Like
music
why
Hall of Fame.
why are you okay? Now you're going to be this umbrella of all music, right? Okay, but then you're putting in hip hop. You're putting in. I don't know. I think I saw Paul Anka on the ballot, and it said something like, or no, it was Lionel Richie. I believe it was, and it said maybe no artist has rocked or been a staple of rock and roll than Lionel Richie. I'm like, what?
Funk,
Like
maybe.
where's it? Well, okay, so you're going to do that, and you're going to include everything.
You tell me Stuck on You doesn't fucking rock everyone's world?
Where's the country artist then?
Yeah, why doesn't Yo-Yo
Garth
Ma
Brooks
get up
should
there?
be
He's a
there, like
world famous
Yo-Yo
artist.
Ma, right? Like
It's
I
the
don't
Music
know.
Hall of Fame. And
That would be the Music Hall of Fame.
didn't a lot of people, wasn't when Jan Wenner was involved, wasn't that like kind of a controversial issue? Like, did you feel like everyone sort of bowed to him?
Yeah, I mean,
Unnecessarily.
My understanding is, I mean, he started it. I know that John Landau, who is Bruce Springsteen's manager, has a very big say in the nominating committee. You got to understand, just for because a lot of people don't know how this works, and even I don't know all of it, but I know a little more than most about it. And even the artists who get nominated aren't quite sure what's going on. So there's two things. Once a year, there's a committee that meets in New York, and it's made up of music industry people and some artists. Morello's in it, Dave Grohl's in it. There's a couple others that I'm not sure who, but those guys I know for a fact. And they will sit at a table like this, say it's 20 people, and they will all go in. Say Adam goes in with his pitch of who he's going to make for the Hall of Fame that year. And now we know that Adam's list would include bands like Devo and B-52s.
That's right.
And he would go in and he would make the case to the panel. Hey, I feel Devo, Whip It, and the cover of Satisfaction and this and that. They deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They influence this and that. They go around the table. And they don't leave the room until they come up with the list of 10, 12 acts that they will then put on a ballot and then goes to the voters, which I am one of, and maybe there's a total of, I heard, roughly 1,000 voters. And then, so I don't have anything to do with who gets nominated, but when the nominations come out of the list they formulate, that's where I have a vote. And by the way, the whole fan vote, you've heard a lot about that. Like, this one's leading the fan vote or this one's trailing. Pretty much meaningless. It's pretty much an exercise just to engage fans.
Sure.
The only way I've been told that really comes into play is in a tiebreaker situation, because the entire fan vote accounts for one
vote.
Oh my God.
voting member's vote.
Wow.
So I have 5. I'm asked to pick 5 out of the 15 on the ballot, say. The fan vote is just one vote for that artist. So unless you're against all odds in a dead heat, that one vote might put you over the top, but I don't know if that happened.
So is Oasis, are the Gallagher brothers able to be on stage together?
They're doing their own thing.
I got a thought. Don't the Black Crowes suffer from this problem?
I saw them last night.
Oh, really?
I saw the Black Crowes in Santa Barbara last night.
Get
That's
the
where I was.
fuck out of here.
I was there last night.
Were the two
I've
brothers?
seen them 4 times on this tour. They're back together.
Oh, they're back.
They got back together like 3-4 years ago. COVID hit, so their whole tour
And
was
the
suspended.
brothers, Robinson brothers, are getting
I
along?
was in a party with them at 11 o'clock last night,
It's
watching
yes or
the
no
2 of them
questions.
Sorry,
have
Brian.
Mexican food and hang
Wow.
out.
All right.
But they've gotten older and wiser
They
and
patched it.
realized that there's money to be made.
I was going to offer up an exchange.
Oh.
You know what I mean? If the Gallagher brothers can't be, but they could give it to Robinson brothers and just send
like
one. They're
this.
great musicians.
I like
the
that.
music isn't so far apart.
Yeah.
You know, there was a
That's good.
tour. You know, they toured together.
Buddy,
it was
I
called
saw-
the Brotherly Love Tour.
Buddy, I saw that
Oasis
tour.
and Black Crowes toured together.
I
His
saw
name's
that.
Eddie, Brian.
I saw that at the Hollywood Bowl. I sat next to David Spade. Coincidentally, I didn't know the guy at the time, and or even now. And Space Hog was the opening act because they had brothers in the band too.
Oh, yeah. Now that's one of the great modern rock songs. In the meantime,
I
yeah,
just listened
Space
last
Hog.
night.
Oh, yeah.
Gina, you know it for sure.
Do I?
100%.
Oh, yeah. In terms of modern rock songs,
It's like a 90s song?
Yeah,
It's the
Space Hog.
90s song.
Can we hear
Yes.
Love that song.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
we'll
Adam, look
play
at that. There's your inductees. That ceremony's happening in November. Those are your inductees in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for 2022. How many of and Judas Priest, who were nominated like 5 times, couldn't get in through voting, so they're basically putting them in the back door in this made-up category to get them actually in.
Musical Excellence Award.
All those acts, how many would you actually consider rock?
I give Pat Benatar
1.5.
and not so much. I mean, kind of pop. Duran Duran, Eminem, no. Eurythmics, no. Dolly Parton, no. Lionel Richie, no. Carly Simon, no.
Carly Simon may be from a different era considered. Pretty rock and roll.
Scream rock, but it's more an easy listening thing. There's my that's my ballot.
Let's see. It's a little hard to see. What does it say?
That's who I voted for.
Who do you like?
This year.
Let's see.
I do it public. I do it on the air with my audience. I don't hide what I do.
Oh, he's a big Devo guy.
So
I let the audience pick.
the audience.
And by the way, just that 15-second intro, of course I know that song. That's all you need to hear.
Space Off. Yeah. Interesting. I was talking to Eddie on Take a Knee, which will air, I think, on Monday. But I said to him, all right, best rock and roll song of all time. You guys can think of yours as well.
All-time song?
All time. You have to pick. We cannot go, so many artists, so many years. So many, like Dawson, I got to hear yours. I go right back to Deep Purple's Burn. It's long. It kicks ass. It has the different solos throughout, and it drives. And then
2 lead singers.
2 lead singers.
Glenn Hughes and David Coverdale trade off vocals on that song, so you even have that.
Greatest, hardest rockin' and drumming. Ian Pace drumming. Oh, let's just listen to the lick.
And by the way, transitional period for Deep Purple. This was controversial because this was the first record they made without Ian Gillan and Roger Glover. And they brought in, this is with 2 replacement members. So at the time, it was a really like, oh my God, 2 key guys are gone and there's 2 new guys in the band.
Eddie Van Halen named Burn one of his favorite guitar riffs.
Oh, wow. I think Brian is going to understand my picks. And when I think of rock songs, I think of, if we're talking, and maybe it's not even my favorite song of theirs.
Hold on, I just found out with the wildfires going on in California, Northern California, that the band has refused to play Burn. The territory page out of Pat Benatar's playbook.
That makes sense.
Fucking bitch.
So I'm thinking like stadium rock anthem and stuff from Brian and my sort of quintessential growing up time. The first song that comes to mind, Sweet Child of Mine.
I was
fantastic
Paradise
fucking
City,
rock song.
Fantastic.
I still think people get more excited when they hear the beginning of Sweet Child of Mine. And even though this is far from my favorite Kiss songs, and I've been to many Kiss concerts, I don't think anyone would sneeze at Detroit Rock City. I can't do Rock and Roll All Night, but I will say Detroit Rock City.
Well, you're talking about stadium anthem type stuff?
Yeah.
I think Rock and Roll Night's more of an anthem, but
I think Detroit Rock City is more of a rock song.
A better song for sure. I think when people think of stadium anthems, I think the definitive one would definitely be We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, which I never need to hear again as long as I live.
That or Don't Stop Believing.
All these songs you're talking about, Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, We Will Rock You, Rock and Roll Night, as much as I love those bands, I'm gone off the radio preset if I hear it again. And consequently, I'm great at beating traffic at shows because those bands all back end on a song. And I'm good with not hearing Walk This Way. I'll beat the traffic and be home while everyone else is like, Aerosmith's finally doing Walk This Way. I'm like, give me Kings and Queens and I'm good. And I'm the only one. So
how were the Black Crowes last night?
Amazing. 4th time I've seen them on this tour. The most organic, real, genuine rock band we probably have. Wow. No bullshit, no computers, no fake tracks, no loops, plug into amps, everyone singing, 2 women singing backing vocals, incredible playing, phenomenal. I mean, they're incredible.
They still got Portia and Mona doing the BGVs?
I don't know who they are, but they have 2 women back there. I mean, where most bands like run a laptop, these guys are doing it as real as it gets. They're so good. And I was never I didn't grow up like a super huge Crows fan, but in the last couple of years I went to see them a bunch of times, and they're playing Shake Your Moneymaker in its entirety, and then they play like another hour of mixed stuff. They're great. They're out for another month. They end at Red Rocks is the last show. I definitely
Oh, you
recommend
got to
seeing
go,
them.
buddy.
They're great.
I'm going to see John Popper and Blues Traveler coming up at Irvine Meadows this
The
Friday.
Red Rocks of OC.
That's true.
Yeah, and I was laughing because I was talking to Mike August, and he said, well, what was Irvine Meadows before it was Irvine
Didn't it
Meadows?
close?
It closed. It reopened.
It was the Verizon Wireless Amphitheater.
I
Yeah.
hosted the last show before it closed in that building.
Who
It
was it?
called the Hair Nation show, and it was for a tie-in with Sirius XM, and it was like all 80s hard rock acts.
You got to be careful how you spell hair because you can get a lot of Nazis and white supremacists at the hair
Hair Nation.
showing up at those things.
Mine Hair Nation.
Not that they're not really in the same group per se. But it was one of the places I told you guys I grew up out here watching TV commercials for the Super Bowl of motocross and the circus and all the things, the NHRA drag races in Pomona and the Orange County motorcycle race, all the things I would never go to. Forgot about one. You see the commercial a lot, which is where Irvine Meadows is. Lion Country Safari.
Oh,
I don't know what that is.
no, you've heard of that.
I have?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
maybe it's because it's something that Conway talks about, but you've definitely heard
Okay,
of
okay.
Lion Country Safari.
They had the hills of Irvine, and they would let lions loose.
Yeah.
What?
It was literally like a janky version of like the San Diego
I Am
Safari Park.
Legend?
Wait,
Yeah.
you run? Is it like running with the bulls? You run with the lions, or what are we talking about?
They take a Slim Jim, they put it
Put
in
in
your
your
front
pocket.
pocket. You have 30 seconds. No, you sat in your car. Again, the Corollas weren't engaging
Oh, no.
in any of this because it cost, $14 and it was 14 miles away and it brought pleasure and we never do it. But from like 1974 to like 85, there was the Lion Country Safari, and you would putt around in your car, and then they tell you keep the windows up or whatever. And I don't know if they had lions walking around.
Yep.
They had-
In the middle of the road.
I don't know, they had zebras and giraffes, like the kind of thing. Can you imagine doing this in Orange County today? Like the insurance
Yeah, it was from
alone?
1970 to 1984.
But wait, we still have this in New Jersey. We have a Six Flags in New Jersey that has a safari attraction
Really?
built into it. And I did it as a kid a million times. You drive your car through and the wildlife is running around. I remember they did have problems with people who had convertibles and like monkeys would tear the roof off or an orangutan would rip the roof off convertibles and they have to come out with the stun gun or whatever.
Jersey
But-
mooks.
Or you have the person tanked up in the back seat, like, oh no, roll down the window and go
Right.
pet the lion. But they still have it in New Jersey. It's a thing.
Yeah, there's New Jersey and there's Loxahatchee, Florida.
It started in
our producer.
70 and went to 84. So it
84.
was like my prime, can we go years?
Well, you
And
wouldn't have given.
the commercial had run local spots, all the Lion Country Safari. And it's like, I had no idea. I think my parents are like, we can't drive to Africa. You don't get where this is. Irvine is right in the middle of Central Africa. But Chris or Gina,
Yeah.
they had lions.
They had lions, they had camels, elephants, rhinoceroses.
Where would
Giraffes.
this be? In the zoo?
No.
It's just like
Open.
It's
On the
literally
streets of Irvine?
Yes.
But it's fenced off.
It's fenced
imagine
up.
it was-
But the animals can walk past the street and
There's
jump on your
literally-
car. and
Yeah.
crap.
I'm
You're
looking
not
at a
supposed to
picture.
feed them because then they might try to break
Right.
your window.
Get a little more. Yeah, there's literally like 14 cars just sort of rolling behind a giraffe who's just kind of kicking it on the
I
street.
had no idea.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
This is great.
still open. The one in I just know someone who went last week.
Well, it claims to be the first cageless zoo,
I like that.
but
Maybe keep the cars
could you
out.
just imagine
in the
funding.
cage?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man. I just imagine just seems like such. Of course, it's close. You could never pull something like that off
No.
in L.A. Everyone's so litigious.
Yeah,
The
some
animal
idiot
rights
kid
groups
and-
would not stand for it. Environmental groups.
Do you want this to snap completely into focus right now? You're thinking like, oh, the best of the prides of Africa, and how did they get them here, and how did they not rip people's head off? Lion Country Safari was given a big boost by an elderly, toothless lion named Fraser, who came from a Mexican circus in 1971. His tongue dangled out of his mouth. He had
Yeah.
trouble walking.
He flopped.
So these were the best and brightest, probably,
Right.
in the safari.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what Irvine Meadows was.
No shit. I didn't know
Before Irvine Meadows, and then they reopened with Tom Petty, I think, in 2016.
Okay.
So I hear, and now we'll go see John Popper and company.
Speaking
playing
of
over there.
John Popper and Tom Petty, can I answer your question? The greatest rock and roll song of all time. Everyone copies everyone to some extent. There's no true originals in rock and roll. Like be a hipster and do like Mississippi Delta blues. But for me, the rock form, the pop rock song was perfected with the Beatles. I would go with A Hard Day's Night or Can't Buy Me Love. That's like the font from which all rock and roll erupts. It's been matched, but not great, not bested.
But would you consider this a rock song?
Absolutely. For the era.
That's what I'm saying, and that's to bring it all around. When you see Carly Simon being inducted for the era, those are rock songs.
What about if you're saying this is where it started? There wouldn't have been a Beatle. Well, if you're saying it's where it's perfected, there wouldn't have been a Beatles without an Elvis.
Of course, or Chuck Berry,
or a Little Richard, or what have you. So how far does the lineage go back before you say that's the birth of rock and roll?
Hey, you mentioned Chuck Berry. Do you have any good Chuck Berry stories?
I don't. Never met the guy. I just know that he liked to be paid in advance in cash in a suitcase before he went on stage, which has become the industry norm, by the way. Whether you're an artist or a musician or a comic.
Good.
Give me the money before I go on stage, or I don't go on stage. And Chuck started that. So.
But you don't know anything about his romantic life?
No.
Damn it. I've heard things.
Yeah, he got popped for putting cameras in bathrooms. And he liked to see the ladies.
Oh, yeah.
They had cameras.
You're a voting
during his
member
time?
of the Academy, and you didn't know Chuck Berry liked to watch the young ladies drop a... Oh, what did Johnny Depp call it? A growl?
A grumpy.
A grumpy?
Yeah.
Wait, that's what he liked seeing?
Towards the end of
And
his
he
life.
was I think he was like into butt stuff, is the rumor. Like,
How do you get a
what's
camera
more butt
of
stuff
the...
than a
That's what I'm
grumpy?
saying. Like that kind of niche.
How do you get
butt
that
stuff.
angle?
I don't, look, I don't work for the Ring Doorbell
I
Corporation.
saw the Man Show bit where the dollar bill was in the toilet.
We did do a bit where we did put some cameras in a stall at the track, but I don't know what the story was. Dawson looked like he knows something, but he got into trouble because I think maybe at his restaurant he owned that he put some cameras up. And I don't know if the angle was perfect, but I think you got the idea.
It worked for him.
It worked for him, and that's all.
Yeah.
That's all that counts. But I don't know what came of it. I don't know if he got arrested. I don't know if he got put on parole. What do you got, Dawson?
I actually don't have anything on that. I was looking eager because I wanted to answer the greatest rock song of all time question. However, while we're on Chuck Berry, Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll is one of the greatest musical / documentaries you can see.
Yes.
And you could tell that, I mean, Keith Richards at times in that movie, he's afraid of Chuck Berry. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
you got it.
Yeah. You're gonna take a shit on me.
But speaking of the greatest rock and roll songs of all time, if you had to pick one, I don't think you can beat Grand Funk Railroads were an American band.
Yeah, it's all there.
I mean, it's
lot
one
of
of the most
cowbell.
honest songs ever written, too. No more honest lyric than "We're coming to your town. We'll help you party it down."
Yeah, they're going to help.
And that's a band that I got a lot of people that called into my show when I did my top snubs a week or two ago that made a case for being snubbed is Grand Funk. People forget how big Grand Funk Railroad was. In the early 70s,
dudes.
they sold out Shea Stadium faster than the Beatles.
Damn.
Like they were, those three guys are still alive, even though they're not the original band right now. But that's another case that I make about this Hall of Fame stuff is I'm a big believer in seniority. It's like, let's get Grand Funk in while the three guys are still alive to have the moment. Let's get Foreigner in while Mick Jones and Lou Gramm are still alive.
Right.
Before you get a posthumous thing and there's somebody talking about them nicely with an 8x10 of the person behind their head. And that happened with Deep Purple. Adam, I mean, when they finally got in, John Lord was gone.
Yeah.
So they snubbed Deep Purple for 20 years for the Hall of Fame.
They are rock and roll, and if they didn't get you with Burn and a lot of their earlier stuff, certainly Highway Star is another great rock and roll.
Space Truckin'.
Yeah,
biggest song of all, the biggest riff ever created, Smoke on the Water.
Sure.
Yeah, how do you get snubbed for 20 years when that's the riff that every kid learns to play on the guitar as their first lick?
Guitar Center right now on Sunset. Somebody's in there playing that, I guarantee you.
You have the Chuck Berry story, Chris?
Yeah, so in 1993, Spy magazine released a report that detailed that Chuck allegedly installed hidden cameras in the women's restroom at the Southern Air restaurant in Wentzville after he bought it in 87. One camera, quote, was evidently behind the toilet seat.
Oh, wait for it. Oh. Wait for it.
According to Spy, while others captured, quote, aerial views of the toilet's contents during the seconds after the woman stood before they flushed. Oof. And the reports also detailed how Barry allegedly... Oh, sorry, that's the same thing. In 94, Barry settled for $830,000, a class action suit filed by dozens of women who claimed they had been taped using the bathrooms. They were reportedly painstakingly edited and compiled in a pair of, quote, toilet tapes that showed hundreds of women and girls in the act of relieving themselves.
Drew Carey has that.
The frame is frozen for a few seconds, lingering on moments that must have been considered particularly moving, Spy reported.
All right.
Barry claimed that he had the camera installed to catch a worker who was suspected of stealing from the restaurant.
Stealing poop?
Imagine what Chuck could do now with technology and where cameras and drones and everything have come from. He could put like a camera like under this toilet seat, waterproof.
I would have worked if Chuck were smart. If I represented him, I wouldn't have worked the stealing angle from the stall. I would have worked somebody here's flushing tampons.
Yeah.
And I got to call the fucking rooter guy out every other fucking week. I'm trying to run a business here. We got open sewage. I've worked the tampon flushing angle.
Fishing white mice out of there every week.
Yeah, that would have been me. But
did you hear the other story? I looked it up just to see if it actually existed, or if the person that told me made it up. But it's on Reddit. Somebody else heard it. He used to pay hookers to squat over his face, and then apparently his big line was, "It's time for my breakfast."
Breakfast. Oh, come on, Gina. Why'd you go there? This is a family show.
You know, Eddie, I apologize.
Oh my
God.
I don't blame the messenger.
Plus, I'm trying to be good.
Is this with the squat? Was there glass? Because there's a term for that too. When people put glass, so it's there's
Danny
a barrier.
Mm-hmm.
A what?
A Danny Thomas?
I don't know. Danny Thomas did that too.
Eddie, you were so sweet and naive when it
really
comes
are.
to defecation and celebrities.
I'm way back. I need my education.
What do you think it's called?
On the Adam Carolla show.
Honey, have you heard about Richard Gere and the Gerbil? Or
that I have heard.
Okay, and the Rod Stewart situation.
Yes, I've heard
okay,
that. Yeah.
okay.
But who was
trying
this
to calibrate
last one,
here.
Gina?
You're kidding.
No, what did you say?
Danny Thomas, like Make Room for Daddy, Danny Thomas?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that one.
Okay. Well, that's for the best.
can't-
I want to
it's
live in a
out
world
there.
where Eddie's
Story
never heard
about that.
this.
So I Google it. Will it come up?
Probably. Take your safe
I
search off.
wouldn't.
He was a beloved man.
Well,
Start St. Jude.
you forced me to go back to that moment with Pam Adlon.
And Dion Kirshner.
The most uncomfortable. I've had a few uncomfortable moments. This is the most.
Yeah.
It involves a lot of elements.
The most, but
You guys are being cryptic about this.
No, he'll tell you.
You know, told the
who's gonna
story
tell me?
like
Nobody
5
wants to
years.
say his niece.
Yeah, I think it was
in there,
niece, yeah.
and
Wait, this is an incestuous thing?
No.
No.
This is many years later.
Adam's like, cut to much later. Adam's like backstage doing
early
something.
2009.
Yeah. And he meets Danny Thomas's niece.
I knew her. She was working on a sitcom I was working on, and everyone's gathered around.
She was a line producer or something of that nature.
I think Jimmy was there. Maybe Sarah Silverman was there, and we find out Danny Thomas was her uncle, and Marlo Thomas is her mom. I don't know Marlo, and there's this gushing of affection for both of them about what Marlo's done and what Danny's done, and the City of Hope Hospital or what St. Jude's Hospital and all the philanthropic work, and everyone's like, I can't believe you're related to these people. And then Pam Adlon walks into the conversation. You ever have the walk into the conversation person? And someone is like, this is Danny Thomas's niece over here, and she's like, what's up with the glass coffee table? And everyone just like looks at her and goes, oh, fuck.
Are you kidding?
Oh my God. Oh my God. It just flew out of her mouth. We're talking about the children's hospital.
This is his niece.
And
I think this is granddad.
and then it made it worse because it's a thing that I thought only happened in movies where then Pam Adlon goes, oh my God, what did I say? and then Dion is so nice. It's like, it's okay, baby. It's okay, honey. And she's like, no, I can't believe I said that. And I'm like, I'm going to craft service. I can't be here for
craft
this.
service?
It was like the craziest in-person moment
horrible.
ever. Now, no one knows if it's true. It's one of those urban
Yeah, like Richard Gere.
legend
You'd
things.
have to be the one to be like, Pam, what are you talking about? Nobody even knows what that means.
That's the wrong thing to do.
Why?
Yeah.
Now you got a long-winded explanation.
No.
That's true.
No.
Sorry,
Allegedly.
Eddie, what were you going to call that act?
It's
There's a name for it. I've heard different.
the only thing you can do in that moment is like, oh my God, my flip-flop's untied. Let me get that.
I think I hear my pies
I think my
burning.
crock came untied. I'll be down
I'll be
here
right
for a
back.
while. All right, Eddie, we're now out of time, but I know you and I have a love for the band UFO.
Yes.
And
super underrated band.
that would be your rock and roll song.
Love to
right?
Love.
Love to Love,
I've
which is
asked-
the Misty Green and Blue
Yes.
song.
I've asked Adam this many times. Would you like to have Andy Parker on the show or wouldn't you? His daughter Lindsay's my best friend. I've told you this a
Andy
million
Parker,
times.
the drummer?
Yes.
He lives in Texas.
He does live in Texas. I know exactly where he lives.
His daughter lives here?
He sent me the most gorgeous wedding present. She lives here. He's a woodworker. He's amazing.
Yeah, I know. He did
Yeah.
flooring and stuff when he
Yeah,
wasn't in UFO.
he's fantastic.
I
If
love
you want to talk
Andy.
to Andy Parker, just
He's
tell
an
me.
original member. He's
Yeah,
he's
he's
been
amazing.
almost every lineup. I love Andy.
Yeah, I love UFO. Underrated. Should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right. I saw a stripper come out to this song
Really?
once in North Hollywood at a strip bar in like 1989.
I would have
strong.
thrown
I love
hundreds.
this chick.
I would have thrown
You would have
hundreds out
made
of
that
respect.
shit rain like Chuck
Made
Berry.
it rain. Like, and by the way, for those that never heard that song, it goes from that into a very heavy,
Yes.
up-tempo jam. It's not like that the whole song because that's ballady, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of different layers.
Yes.
All right, Eddie Trunk, thank you for this. I'll give your plugs in a second. First, I'll tell you about blindsgalore.com. Family owned and run for over 20 years, over 2 million windows covered. And it's the first place you go for window treatments online. Blinds, shades, shutters, drapes, even motorized coverings that connect with your smartphone. They've got it all. You take the measurements and they'll design it for you. You can go online with their visualizer so you can see exactly what they'll look like right on screen before you buy. They have an expert customer care team help you every step of the way and online or over the phone. Every window in my world has been covered by Blinds Galore. They have the power ones. You don't have to run wires to them. You can just charge them up and work it from the phone. And the edit bays, studios, it's all Blinds Galore. Free samples, free shipping, free expertise. Doesn't get any better than that. It is Blinds Galore, right, Dawson?
BlindsGalore.com makes it easy to get the high-quality designer blinds and shades you've always wanted in your home, all at a great price. Order your free samples today to get started at BlindsGalore.com and let them know that Adam sent you. That's BlindsGalore.com.
All right, Wheeler Walker Jr. is going to come in on our big musical show. Eddie Trunk is going to head out, and we'll talk to Wheeler right after this. Love that song. I love the SEC line in that.
Suck my D while we watch the SEC.
She knows them all.
I am
love it.
uncomfortable with how much I love him and how familiar I am with this music.
That's Wheeler Walker Jr. The album Sex, Drugs, and Country Music's available wherever you listen to music. And shows coming up tonight, Los Angeles, the Fonda Theater. Also Solana Beach, Belly Up Tavern. That's in Solana Beach, California. And that's July 27th. And San Francisco. How do you play in San Francisco, Wheeler?
It's a mix. It's there have been some protests, but
Really?
yeah, but it's weird because like I do have a lot of songs about dick sucking, so you know, so that there's people who love coming to that. You know my song "I Sucked Another Dick Last Night," or "Which one of you queers gonna suck my dick?"
Right.
Right.
So eating pussy, kicking ass, then I sucking dick, kicking ass.
something for everybody.
There's something for everyone, but yeah, it's a mixed bag. I'm not gonna lie.
And then what are some of your top regions? Who gets you?
We just got back from Florida. Florida gets me. I had not been to Florida before, which is, I don't know if that's hard for you to believe. I don't know why.
It's impossible.
Yeah, shitty management. But we just played Florida, and those were some of the craziest shows. We got rained out, and they waited for fucking 3 hours to see me in the rain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How's it work? So rained out means lightning, right?
Yeah, rained out means there's a singer who don't want to touch a wet mic. And I say, I want to go home, and they say, well, the contract says you got to sing. So I said, when the microphone's dry, I'll sing. So then we wait till that.
And so obviously an outdoor venue.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if it's wet, if the microphone's wet inside, I am playing.
So does people get electrocuted and all that kind of stuff?
Didn't you see Almost Famous?
Yeah, I guess so.
I did when I was a kid real bad. You know, it was weird. So when I first started playing music, where I was playing a party and there was beer everywhere and beer on the microphone, I touched the microphone. My eyes were open and I saw all black and I saw lightning, like white strikes of lightning. It was crazy. But yes, I have been electrocuted touching a microphone.
Shit.
We were talking about Pat Benatar not wanting to play her hit "Hit Me with Your Best Shot," and she's leaving it out of her live set. Thoughts?
Fuck Pat Benatar. That's fucking stupid. I mean, people pay good money to see my shows. I mean, I would say Pat Benatar not playing "Hit Me with Your Best Shot" is kind of like Will Walker Jr. not playing "Fuck You, Bitch."
Right.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
You know, like, because then I think it is a good equivalent because, first of all, I'd be like, fuck that stupid song anyway. But also, you got one hit. Play. What the fuck we come to see you for?
It's one of her biggest. Yeah.
Well, I guess. Well, does she have other ones?
Oh yeah, she's got hits, but that's definitely amongst the biggest.
But if you
Belong to
got,
the
but
Night.
if you don't have a, I mean, what's? I guess my question would be not that you would know. What's the reasoning?
It's because of all the mass shootings. She thinks it's inappropriate. Because she
But
says,
then
"Hit me with your best shot, fire away."
And then she goes, "You come on with a come on. You don't fight fair." It's like she's
But also,
about arguing.
But
with her
don't we know that "Hit
man.
Me with Your Best Shot" ain't?
it's not about shooting guns.
Yeah. So, but we all seen the video.
Indeed.
Anyway, you know what? My tickets are going on StubHub. Fuck her.
So you're going to play a song for us today,
I am.
and I'm trying to think of whether we want to, get right into it or do an interview for a while. I mean, you can kind of tell me how
Let's
you're
do it
feeling.
first, and I have to make sure I got my voice for the song.
Okay.
Am I allowed to do that? Just tell you? I don't like
Yeah.
telling you what to do.
You're the
No,
host.
let's do it.
You're the
You want to do
guest.
the song?
Yeah, but I do want to prep it a little bit. It's my first religious song.
Oh my God.
It's not religious as much as it's religion themed.
Spiritual.
It's spiritual, yes. Spiritual love song.
Is it getting picked up by some of the gospel stations?
Yeah, it's all over all the gospel stations. God Told Me to Fuck You is what it's
Oh,
called.
boy.
So obviously it's been getting a lot of
Spins?
spins on the religious stations.
Holy.
Yeah, and
It's a good
yeah,
pickup
I'm all
line.
over the radio right now.
And people cover your songs.
Nobody that I've heard of, but they cover them and then send them to me, but they're nobody you care about.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get like Pat Benatar to cover like God said to fuck me.
Yeah, well, how about instead of playing Hit Me With Your Best Shot, play God Told Me to Fuck You? You do
Yeah.
a lot better with that one.
Yeah, and she's married. She can sing it to Neil Girardo.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Well, maybe you should pick the guitar up and we should
Let's do it.
roll right into that one. And
Ballad, I think.
You'll be playing this at your live show, and
Of course, man. This was a big hit.
Yeah.
I don't want to upset my fans.
Yeah.
Who the fuck am I, Pat Benatar?
Yeah,
He
that's
cares
right.
about his fans.
That's right. You care.
Right.
You guys hear me? Good? Cool. Babe, I know this is gonna sound crazy, 'cause I ain't never been the kind to pray. But girl, you were right, the good Lord's amazing. 'cause he came to me today in a very holy way. God told me to fuck you. God told me to lick your crotch. God told me to tell you to suck my dick. He told me he likes to watch. Please believe me, baby, it surprised me too when God told me to fuck you. I see that cross hanging round your neck, and all this stands for I respect. And girl, I hope you get this text, 'cause tonight I'm pretty bored. So let's listen to the Lord. And God told me to fuck you. God told me to lick your crotch. God told me to tell you to suck my dick. He told me he likes to watch. Please believe me, baby, it surprised me too when God told me to fuck you. Girl, get down on your knees. Show the Lord your love. Just suck it out of me to the heavens up above. God told me to fuck you. God told me to lick your crotch. God told me to tell you to suck my dick. He told me he likes to watch. Please believe me, baby, it surprised me too. And he's the only one we should listen to. And God told me to fuck you. God told me to fuck you.
Wow.
Very moving.
It's great to hear you slow it down and do something for the couples.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of slowing it down, I mean, that song's amazing.
Thank you so much.
I love that song. You know, he has a lullaby to his newborn son called All the Pussy You Will Slay.
You know, that's
beautiful.
That's Kid Rock's favorite song of mine.
It's fucking awesome.
Oh, really?
It's very touching.
Well, maybe we can look for that one, too. Kid Rock was in the news this weekend. So
what do you do?
I don't know.
So
every time I hear Kid Rock's in the news, I knew it was something bad.
Yeah, so he canceled a show last minute due to weather, and
only pussies don't perform when it's raining. Come on, man.
Yeah, I heard it was high winds.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, and all the fans just became very unruly and rioted,
His
and
fans?
yeah, all the fans at the venue.
Oh, because he didn't play?
Yeah, because he didn't play, so it was just like a big
Yeah,
deal.
see,
that
I'm
they were
with
throwing
him.
stuff around. Yeah.
If he's not allowed to play, he's not allowed to play.
It seems like everyone's fans. I mean, recently the Eagles fans were duking it out. There's people duking it out at Disneyland. There's people duking it out at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yes,
They're
get
duking it
shot.
out on airplanes. Like,
That's what I always tell people, you know, when there's fights in my shows. I'm like, there's fights at fucking Eagle shows, and they sing "Take It Easy." They fight
they
everywhere.
were literally singing "Take It Easy" when a fight broke out, and I was thinking back, like, fights used to break out on schoolyards, alleys, and bars. Not airplanes and Disneyland.
No.
We have jumped the shark.
And someone told me about Sesame Street Land too. There was some.
Oh
shit
yes,
going
Sesame Place. Yeah,
I don't really
was a
know
whole-
what that is.
They think one of the
Somebody tackled someone up on stage. It was
Yeah, they were like
crazy.
fighting security and
water's
everything.
coming.
Yeah.
throwing bottles.
Yeah,
Is that the Eagles?
they're this is Kid Rock, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're just drunk and pissed.
Yeah, people are just pissed. They want to fucking fight.
Is it dress code that's causing this?
Lack of, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, lack of. Is too many people in board shorts and t-shirts that making everyone throw down everywhere.
That's a good point because, like, you know, if
That's a Kid Rock tuxedo.
You know, I toured with Kid Rock, and I'll tell you what, I've never seen so many people. I mean, who it's just everyone wore. I got nothing against it, but they all wore Stars and Stripes, everything. Very skimp, you know, not much clothing, but
these colors don't run T-shirts.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't even that. It was just literally just American flag.
Oh,
Perfect.
everything.
Did you guys, speaking of despicable, so in the Disneyland fight, the two families that fought were dressed in matching attire.
They're
which
Disney Mickey
Oh, so you knew it
T-shirts.
was on which team?
it
Yeah,
makes
exactly.
it that much more surreal.
Yeah.
But and I don't know, Chris, going to have to look for this, but somebody tweeted me an L.A. fight, like sort of another L.A. fight breaking out, sort of out in the street, and people were fighting with crutches. Did anyone see this? Like people dueling and taking big swings with crutches. Like we've gotten to some new strata of society where we've just completely jumped the shark.
Do you
as
think
a
it's
society.
think it's just people been, especially here, fucking locked away for a couple of years, or just they're coming out swinging? They've been.
People are just assholes.
I blame everyone. I'm a broken record, but 20 years ago, somebody said, you cannot judge. And I went, fuck that. I'm judging. And they're like, you can't judge. Don't judge me. Don't judge her. Don't judge us. Like, you can't judge. It's like, that's all we have is judging. That's what keeps
Shame.
society. Shame. Judgment, and then shame comes rolling in. We stop judging. People aren't ashamed anymore. And they're just going at it. And we thought, like, well, once we get security cameras up and running, that'll quell this. But it's like saying the Kardashians, they didn't want that porn tape coming out, did they? It's like, yes, they did.
Well, certainly.
People
Yeah.
just start yelling "World
This
Star"
is,
now.
I don't know, at Alvera Street or somewhere
Fashion District, Santee Alley.
Yeah,
in L.A.?
Yeah.
Okay.
you're not familiar with Santee Alley?
Big
All
brawl
bargain-
breaks out outdoors. And everyone is just throwing down. At some point, crutches get picked up.
They
and
each have one like a sword.
People are going full El Kabong with crutches, and the guy steals the other crutch. And
How are
then
they
they're-
walking?
They're beating each other.
Whose crutches
As
are
a
those?
fella who's got the word Walker in his name and Wheeler,
I never
this
thought
must
about
be
that.
upsetting for you to see a crutch fight.
It's putting my name in a bad light. I don't like
If
it.
anyone deserves to be pushed through an airport, it's you, Wheeler.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I know, but they never seem to do it.
I feel like your grandfather did.
No, I knew I was doing well when I started when you would put my name into Amazon and the walkers wouldn't come. My CD came up before a walker.
Oh, really?
That's how you know.
That's how I knew it was starting to get big.
I really
You've
do
arrived.
think you need to hear a few bars of "All the Pussy You Will Slay." It's beautiful.
And this is to your young son?
Yes, well, he was younger at the time I wrote it, but
Oh, right. Then he is now.
then he ages, you know.
No, I like it when when the artist writes a song. I
They're more
think
heartfelt.
John Hyatt wrote a song about his daughter Georgia Ray. That was a nice hit. Someone can find it. It didn't have a lot of pussy crushing.
Yeah,
in it, but it was a young lady.
This is
you know?
Wheeler's
Weird.
version of "Isn't She Lovely?"
Yeah, I still get emotional when I listen. But whenever I hear that song, I remember, and I know he meant it as a compliment. But the second the song, the day the song came out, I got a text from Kid Rock. I know he's a big subject today for some reason. He said, "This makes all your." I know he meant it as a compliment. This makes all your other songs sound like shit.
Oh wow.
But I know he means it well. But it's also kind of like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
are my other ones that bad?
It's your Danny song. You know, it's a tribute to your son.
Does I think Eric Clapton had
Tears in Heaven.
Tears in Heaven.
How'd that turn out?
Not good.
Well, I think he wrote it after the incident.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Or it was prescient. I don't know. All right. Let me hit a spot and we'll do some news. Well, maybe. You know the band UFO?
Sure. Yeah.
You like the band UFO?
What's their big song?
Their big song is a live version of Lights Out in London. And they do my favorite thing. We can play a little of it. Yeah, 70s rock and roll.
Yeah, it used to be good, huh? What was the last good rock band? Probably them.
I mean, I don't like to be dismissive of everything that's new when I haven't heard everything that's new, but these guys would, I feel like they really play they'd really learn their instruments, and then they'd become a band and then they tour and whatever. And I feel like everyone's just kind of doing it at the same time now. Like when you think about Emerson, Lake and Palmer or Jethro Tull, or these guys are like classically trained musicians who would then play rock, and they could all swing their asses.
Eddie Van Halen, same thing.
Eddie Van Halen. All right, let's see. Let me hit a spot, and then we'll roll into some news. American Hartford Gold. That's what I want to talk about. Inflation at a 40-year high. Interest rates skyrocketing. Experts like J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon predict a recession using terms like economic hurricane. Protect your future. Do what I did. Call American Hartford Gold. They'll help protect your savings and retirement by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. One short phone call, and they'll have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door, or put it inside your IRA or 401k. Highest rated firm in the country, A+ rating from the Triple B, and thousands of satisfied clients. Tell them Adam Carolla sent you, and when you sign up, you get up to $1,500 free silver on your first order. It's American Hartford Gold. Right, Dawson?
Call 866-899-2028. That's 866-899-2028. Or text Adam to 998899. That's 866-899-2028. Or text Adam to 998899.
Wheeler, you played the Ryman recently?
I did. That was one of my goals when I started, was to sell out the Ryman, and I fucking did it.
Yeah.
And we set a beer record there, which I didn't know that they kept track of it, but it was cool.
Yeah.
And after all the drunks that had played there, it was pretty cool to set the beer record.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you feel like Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and all those guys, their audience were consumers of beer.
Totally, yeah. And the other thing, too, was I was like, oh, man, I made it. So I invited all my family. A lot of my family's pretty old. I was like, listen, it was right when people were coming back out. I was like, guys, it's going to be safe. My fans are safe. I would say I had 20 family members who got COVID from that show. And I don't even think that many people, like I would say 23 people came and 20 of them got COVID.
Still worth it. All right.
You and I did, which I'm sorry to interrupt, but
go ahead.
Probably the reason was that it was the first show which promoters won't let me do anymore. You had to prove you had COVID to get into the show.
Wow. They needed a COVID positive ID
test,
card.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, we'll take a quick break, come back with Wheeler and the news right after this.
Sorry, I'm just texting Andy Parker right now.
Please.
All right, done.
Name dropper.
Oh, nothing. So starting with some sad news that as we record this really broke just right before the show. Paul Sorvino has died. Natural causes. He died at the Mayo Clinic in Florida. As everyone knows, he was really big on Law & Order after this. But of course, everyone knows him from Goodfellas, Paul Cicero, the mobster. But yeah, big on Law & Order. Tons of shows, Tony nominated, beloved. Survived by his wife, Dee Dee, 3 children, including actress Mira Sorvino and 5 grandchildren. Brian, I don't mean to be rude
How
or
old
crass.
was he?
I'll double check because I'm just
in
putting
his
it now.
70s.
But is he on your list of they were alive?
No, I knew Paul Sorvino was alive. This is a last minute request because I didn't
83
know.
years
I
old.
didn't know, but he died. But Ben, if you're able to find when Mira Sorvino won the Oscar for Woody Allen's Mighty Aphrodite, she was great. Her date was Quentin Tarantino. It was a weird Oscars. Paul Sorvino was in the crowd. The tears flowing.
The nachas, the pride.
Just the proud papa. He's a big bear. She's up there. Beautiful young ingenue, winning the Oscar. Just the tears streaming down his face were just beautiful. It's priceless.
Was that your folks at the Ryman?
I think they were mainly coughing the whole time.
Oh,
but it was equivalent. Yeah, they were very proud. It was the first time they've been proud of me in a long time.
And they're down to listen to the music. They don't get offended or.
I didn't say that. They were.
Gotcha.
They would have rather me, been a little more
subdued.
Hank.
Yeah.
But
her date was Quentin Tarantino that night.
Oh. Yeah.
It was the year after Pulp Fiction, I think, a year or 2 later, and he was just drinking. He was like, I had nothing on the board.
And my family, and when you give me this award, you honor my father, Paul Sorvino, who has taught me everything I know about acting.
Just a big Italian mook.
I love you very much, Dad.
That is emotional.
He is. He is broken down.
Anyway, that's it.
That's nice.
Is that from what Woody Allen did to her?
I don't think it came up during the acceptance speech, but you never know.
Shane Woody and Harvey Weinstein, she had a rough go of it in the 90s.
Oh, boy.
All right.
When they were both, we watched Seven again the other night. When they were both fresh on the scene, didn't you get Gwyneth Paltrow and Mira Sorvino mixed up all the time, or was that just me?
I'll say yes.
Yeah, I'll say yes, too. Just so we can turn the page.
How dare you? Here's something you're definitely going to want to turn the page from. Monkeypox is now a global health emergency. The World Health Organization designation means that it's seen enough outbreaks worldwide that it's a threat and it could become another pandemic. There have been 16,000 reported cases of monkeypox in 70 countries. As of Friday, the U.S. has reported just under 3,000. A lot of them coming in from New York. The big difference between the monkeypox outbreak and COVID is that the monkeypox vaccine already exists, thank God.
It started at the Ryman.
That's probably
out here,
true.
and then
a lot of people very wart-like.
Oh my God,
out.
is that true?
New York has the most confirmed case of 900.
They should be called Wheelerpox.
That's right.
Now you're talking.
California, Florida, Georgia, Illinois all has it. Meanwhile, thank God, the vaccine prevents the illness. It can also be given to treat it. But this is not like I have COVID, trust me. This is like pustules all over your body.
Yeah.
Not cute.
Do they go away? I mean, I assume they go away eventually. They leave like pock marks or.
So how do you get it? Is it the same thing? Coughing?
Pretty much gay sex.
Gay sex?
They don't want to talk about
Okay.
it, but
Is that
it
true?
is
We're really
gay
not allowed
sex.
to say
Yeah,
that.
yes.
Well, actually,
we're not allowed to be factual. That's
it's
the
funny
problem.
you should say that because
Yes, it's a gay thing.
I gotta stop doing
The
that.
same with AIDS. We just had to turn it into heterosexual, equal opportunity. That's what we do.
through
except
close
for
contact.
It's
and the whole
science.
vibe.
It's science. It's all.
Then
it's a
what would
gay
make
thing.
it? What would make it more like anal? What would make monkeypox more transmissible? Same thing as AIDS, I guess.
It's like it's possible for heterosexual sex, but it's more of a gay thing. And
What you mean?
we don't-
It's in that community.
in that community? Yes.
So there's nothing they do differently. And I'm asking
You're
for
talking about different positions.
I'm asking for a friend here.
Writing a song.
Yeah. I don't know. We should ask Chuck Berry about
That's
how
true.
they work sexually, but
More transmissible that way. But,
Yes.
But a lot of headlines would appreciate you not calling it a gay STD.
well, you have to accurately define things, even if it fucking offends people, because you have to sort of figure out how to approach problems. Like
And keep
you can
communities
call
safe.
AIDS a equal opportunity killer, but if you're going to spend a lot of time coaching up heterosexual couples, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. The time should be committed to groups that are much more vulnerable.
Well, now that it's I'm over here just fucking sweating balls here. Now that I know that it's from getting it up the ass.
Oh boy.
Oh, right.
I'm messing around.
He's into he's into whatever. He's not tight.
I said I do well in San Francisco, man.
Yeah. This dude might be a hero, might be insane. I guess time will tell. A top engineer at Google has been fired for coming up publicly and saying that he believes one of Google's AIs is sentient. The AI in question is called Lambda. It's short for Language Model for Dialogue Applications, and it was publicly unveiled by Google last year as a means for computers to better mimic open-ended conversations. But Blake Lemoine seems to not only believe Lambda has attained sentience, but was openly questioning whether it possessed a soul. And in case there's any doubt about what his views are, he said, I legitimately believe Lambda is a person. Google published a statement about this, saying that they found this wholly unfounded, and they've been working with Lemoine for months to clear it up, and he just doesn't want to listen.
Speaking of open-ended, let's get back to monkeypox.
Sure.
I now believe whatever apocalyptic future that we've been discussed in movies
It was
for the
laid
last
on
20
Terminator.
years. Yeah, it was
Skynet becomes active.
It's all going to happen at this point.
Singularity.
I used to poo-poo it, and I no longer do that. I just go, I guess this is what's coming.
Yeah, didn't you? I'm with you on that. Didn't it used to be like there's some weird disease in some foreign country, like you didn't even think twice about? Now everyone I hear about, I think it's coming.
Everything's weaponized, but
Especially when it's from butt fucking.
I was thinking about I had this thought the other day. Remember your first thing, and I don't know if I'll describe this correctly, but it's like you were talking about buying sandals or looking on your computer for sandals. And it's like the next day, I open my computer, it's a bunch of sandals. It's such a coincidence. It was weird. Like I was just talking about it in front of the Alexa or the Siri, whatever. I was just looking at it, and then a bunch of sandals came up. Police wanted to sell me sandals. It was a coincidence. And now it's like,
that's how they sell sandals.
I don't have an Alexa. I don't want one. My mom's been trying to foist one on me for years. I'm like, not that our house is that interesting. We're selling government secrets, but I want to fly under the radar on this.
Christy and I are the same dynamic where she wants like Alexa, like a voice activation. But not my house.
Nope.
We got one as part of like.
But it doesn't even matter because no matter what the fuck I talk, I'm with you. I've ever what the fuck I talk about. I open my phone and there's fucking They're
listening.
I don't have Alexa, but they're fucking listening to me. It's like I get scared to click on a YouTube video. It's like someone sends me like a story about like what if I click on a fucking Justin Bieber video by accident?
What if you do?
I'm gonna be fucking seeing that shit for the rest of my goddamn life.
Well, sometimes it's psychological like that, and the mystery's still there. Sometimes it just comes for your fingers, because there's this robot in Russia that fucked this kid up. This 7-year-old chess player, I'll play the video on mute, in Moscow had his finger broken by his robot opponent during a match at a tournament last week. According to a Russian media outlet, the boy responded too quickly to one of the robot's moves, and the robot grabbed the child's finger and broke it. Human adults rushed over, tried to pry the robot's claw off the kid. The boy was whisked away to medical treatment. His finger eventually set in a cast. He's okay, but as expected from sometimes, Russian chess society.
This is the beginning of AI.
That's right. They blame the kid. They said there are certain safety rules, and the child apparently violated them. So what are you going to do?
Oh, they blame the kid?
They blame the kid. He moved too fast. That's what happens. You get your finger broken.
Yeah.
Critical thinking would be nice on the part of the robots.
They have all the, those robots that don't really look like robots. They look like
dogs.
I don't know, sheep or mules or something weirdly
four-legged
coming out of Japan. And then at some point, we're going to have to make them smart enough to know when they pick out our avocados, which ones are ripe and which ones are hard. And all these little nuanced things they're going to have to know. And then once they get infused with that, they're also going to know how to kill you and collect the insurance.
Of course.
Right.
What was that movie from the 80s where Gene Simmons was a bad guy and there were robot spiders?
Gene Simmons?
Yeah.
From Kiss?
Yeah. What were you people watching in the 80s?
Well, Kiss went to the amusement. There's the Phantom.
I own that.
I know
aware.
you know that one.
He was the bad guy, and there were electronic spiders doing exactly this. So
it's
anyway,
called Runaway. Chris says on the screen from 1984.
Apparently, they had a crystal ball. So I'm just saying, let's all take a
if these computers are gonna break Russian kids' fingers, who gives a fuck? I'm all for it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I never
if this is the extent of their damage.
Yeah. Hey, kid, next time your dad's thinking about going in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah, am I really worried about the fingers of Russian children? I don't care.
That's a good point.
The
Let's break them all.
Refreshing.
The
break them all.
If you kind of think about it, it goes back at its origins. You think about like the Wizard of Oz and the witch and the flying monkeys, and she's doing the witch's bidding, and now it's just going to be drones and finger breaking Russian chess robots and things. But
Flippy, don't forget about Flippy.
Yeah.
The fast food flipper.
Yes, it will be on.
Yeah, it's
on. It will be on.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to refresh your memory because we talked about this a few years ago, and there's finally a conclusion. Remember back in 2017, there was that story of that couple that...
Think about this with Flippy.
Yeah.
Just think about, we would harness pack mules and camels and Clydesdales and stuff. We used to get, things to do our bidding.
Sure.
But Flippy, and everyone always talks about, they're never late. They don't ask for a raise. How about never taking a shit at work? Does anyone really factor the big one in? Never.
Not publicly.
Chuck Berry'd be out of business with Flippy working his restaurant.
He'd be so depressed.
No one ever drops a deuce at the workplace. No toilet cleaning. No, we're out of paper. We need the wipes. Nothing. Just flipping burgers, searing burgers all day.
That's a very good point.
Just a little oil, not like vegetable oil, grease for the gears.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So there was this couple, we've talked about them and we've been following them a little, but they're back in the news. They did that GoFundMe for that homeless guy on the side of the road. The girl, Kate McClure, said, my car broke down. It was nighttime. I was by the freeway.
yeah.
And this homeless guy told me to roll up my windows. He gave me $20 to get gas. Now I want to set up a GoFundMe for him. It raked in $400,000. Turns out it was a total scam. She and her boyfriend and the homeless guy were all in on it together. And
Well, at least there was a homeless guy.
see, this
Yeah, I was
is
gonna say, sounds smart.
this is what's interesting about it. The greed is fantastic. So McClure and her then boyfriend Mark D'Amico posted about this good deed. It went viral. They made the money very quickly, and it was to get this guy off the streets. So the prosecutor said the couple spent the money on a BMW, lots of gambling in casinos. I feel like that was the origination of this. I feel like they have a gambling problem because gambling came up a lot. Louis Vuitton handbags, Disneyland, all kinds of stuff. Meanwhile, the homeless guy received $75,000 as his cut, which apparently was less than he was supposed to receive, like split 3 ways. So instead of just taking 75 grand and shutting the fuck up, he sues them that he didn't get all of his part of the scam
So he used
money.
his money. He used his money for a lawyer.
He retained
Exactly.
a lawyer.
And
You
you
write that
think,
off.
and you think when you just hear the story, you're like, of course, he's absolutely right. He's this guy. He did a good deed. They ran away with his money. Did not realize he was in on the scam. Probably should have shut the fuck up. So now, since Bobbitt, the homeless man, was in on it too, he pled guilty to conspiracy to commit theft by deception. He was sentenced to a 5-year probation that includes drug treatment, which is nice. D'Amico, the boyfriend, he pleaded guilty a couple years ago. He's serving a 5-year term in New Jersey. But Kate McClure, she's the newest one. She just got hit for a year and a day for whatever reason in her sentencing, and she has to also serve restitution. And I think this is probably a huge win for sites like GoFundMe because who knows how many scams are, this is a good warning for anyone who's trying to pull this shit.
They always talk about get this guy some money so he can get off the street.
Yeah.
Does anybody know somebody who's on the street for strictly financial reasons?
But just a little bit of money would help.
If you could stay in a hotel or a motel, or you could get an apartment with somebody if you've just had some cash.
Otherwise, you're a pillar of the community.
Yeah, I'm just saying, everyone I grew up with was sort of poor and semi-jobless, but nobody was on the street. Everyone just sort of ended up, like I said, when my dad and my mom got divorced, my dad went to my grandparents' closet.
Your mom's parents.
My mom's parents, and slept in a large closet. Now, he because he wasn't a junkie, he was just a poor person, so they let him sleep in a closet.
Well, look at this dude. He got 75 grand and turned being homeless into being in jail.
Right.
He got
It's
home.
that kind of brain that gets you on the street.
That's right. Remember the golden throat guy?
Yes,
what
the
happened to him?
announcer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had this funny conversation with my stepmom and my dad yesterday where they were explaining in between discussions about me kicking them a couple of bucks. There was a discussion at some point I had to do. Tell me if this is a dick move. My stepmom's always kind of gainfully employed or had been. And both my parents are kind of hooked up with people that were willing to work so they didn't have to work so hard. And they just kind of hung out while people worked around them.
Yeah.
And at some point, my stepmom yesterday, she said, well, we're now both just on Social Security and fixed incomes, and when we both pool it together, and so, we contribute about the same money, because in the past, it was always they worked full time and whoever my parents were hung out. So she was kind of making the point, she kept going, we both put into the pot, and it's about even. It's about even. About equal into the pot. And then I just looked at my dad and I said, equal or just a little bit less? And my poor stepmom was like, well, yeah, Jim's a little, not quite as much. And I'm like, even when it's coming from the government or from some other, how did I know you were putting in a little bit less just to keep it consistent?
Gosh, they're true to the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did he have any thoughts about that?
No.
Stay quiet.
The beauty of those people is getting back to shame. Nope, no problema.
Well,
yeah.
And like you said, his money is not his money.
Also, the thing about people
Government's
who don't do anything, they complain about people who do a lot of shit because they
And
don't do
how?
anything. Like my dad was like, oh, your stepmom, she's cleaning the gutters out, she's washing the windows down, she's walking the dog, she's going. It's like, yeah, guess why?
She's doing things.
Guess why? That's why. Because you're fucking with a flugelhorn in the living room. That's why she's doing those things. I know it's annoying, but don't you
How dare
want
she?
clean
Needs
gutters?
to be done.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to presume to tell you how to do your job, Wheeler, because I know you're very good at what
Well,
you
thank
do,
you.
and
I
you don't
appreciate
need any
that.
help. But this next story may inspire maybe another song. Again, I don't want to tell you your
ready for it.
business. Did you guys know there is a significant rumor about Willem Dafoe?
Oh yeah, huge hog.
Yeah. So the rumor going around about he has.
I've seen the movie.
Well, no, you haven't.
I've seen the movie where they use the stunt cock.
Why do I even bother
Sorry,
recording?
sorry.
All right, so apparently
No one knows Defoe's cock like Brian out there.
his
It's been said
dick
many times.
is so big that they had to use a stand-in one for the film. Why is that? Well, director Lars von Trier told a story recently to the Boston Phoenix newspaper saying that they needed to use a stunt penis for Defoe in the movie Antichrist so people wouldn't, and I quote, be confused.
A smaller stunt
Yes,
penis.
that's
Wow.
a more
when you know you
appropriately
made it.
sized. Von Trier clarified that Defoe's penis was so big that everybody was confused when they saw it, so they need to use someone with a small one so it possibly wouldn't pull focus in the scene. How would you like to be that guy they call?
I'm still trying to figure out what song you want me to write.
I don't know. Maybe there's just something
Willem
there
Dafoe's
about
cock?
Yes,
Stunt cock.
stunt cock.
I do have a theory about the guys that have a certain build and a certain look that oftentimes have a huge hog. Like you don't big husky guys and fat guys. It's always kind of the drawn, kind of bony guys that have the
Sure
big
is.
hogs. I
Big
mean,
jaw, pronounced jaw.
You met my husband, yes? You saw his carriage.
yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking more, the great John Holmes was a very kind
sure.
of spindly guy, the kind of
Angular.
drawn in angular face. Those guys. Now, maybe it's because the hog seems bigger on their carriage because they're so narrow
Slight.
that this is taking up 26% of their weight, their width and their waist
Right.
is their dick.
Yeah,
But
but also-
Defoe fits
Yeah.
That's how he's getting his exercise, you mean?
perfectly, just dragging his hog around.
Yeah. That's why,
Wow.
why he
Isn't that
looks
a-
kind of sunken in.
Isn't that a Tom Petty song?
Stop dragging my hog around.
Let's stay in the nether regions for a second.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a... Now,
Good for him.
If you're Defoe,
Yeah.
do you argue about putting this information out there, or do you subtly push it along, or do you
I was gonna say, I think
encourage
he's
it?
probably okay with it. Actually, somebody asked him, one of the reporters asked him in an interview, and apparently he has like kind of a beef with Hollywood because they said like, and we've heard, like in Hollywood, the rumor is that your penis is so big, whatever, it won't fit on the screen. And apparently he got up and he's like, I'm not really in Hollywood anymore. So that was that was a kind of a cool sidestep.
Sounds like it's true.
Yeah, I do too.
That's what I would do if it was.
I mean,
His
was
dick's in Hollywood,
That's
he's not.
right, in a different zip code. It was because
Then
Florida
his dick
Project.
left a minute later.
That's right.
There's no frontal nudity in the front.
Right, but it was definitely more of like a indie film. It's not like he's being.
Oh, even this movie we're talking about, Antichrist,
Yeah.
is a very it's a very indie, weird
right,
movie.
and he's never really. Has he ever been nominated for anything, or he's never won anything?
Yeah, he was nominated for the Vincent Van Gogh movie like 2 years ago.
But
Oh, really?
But he doesn't. He hasn't racked up a bunch of Oscars.
I don't believe so. We'd have to look that up, but I would say no.
Interesting.
You want the huge hog rumor, even if it's a rumor, because women are curious.
Pete Davidson.
And they're going to want to see it.
Yeah.
Possibly slay it,
Sure.
but certainly see it.
Yeah.
So you want that going
I
around.
want to see the interview where someone asked him if he had a big dick. He's like, "God damn it, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
Yeah. Nominated 4 times, so says Chris.
But
Defoe
never a
is.
bride.
Platoon, maybe?
Yeah, maybe Platoon.
Well, let's stay in the crotch for a hot sec because this is really a fucking horror movie come to life. A 73-year-old Florida woman is lucky to be alive after a large sailfish. Have you seen a sailfish?
Yes.
Put that up, Ben.
They will fuck your shit up.
It's literally like a needle coming out of
my.
the front of the face. Jumped into the fishing boat she was in and stabbed her in the groin. The victim was with 2 others last week when an angler on board caught the sailfish on a fishing line about 2 miles offshore. They attempted to reel it in. 2 men on the boat noticed the creature began to charge the boat. The fish then jumped out of the water, stabbed the woman in the crotch, and she was standing next to the center console, just standing in the boat. The anglers reported the sailfish was estimated to be about 100 pounds. And she's alive to tell the tale.
They have
Look at that fucking thing.
They have a 2-foot ice pick for a nose. They're
They have a rapier.
Yeah,
They're beautiful.
They could go. They'll put a hole in you. They must hunt that way, but I don't know how they do it.
Never seen a sailfish pop up on a menu.
No.
Never
Good
once.
point.
They have swordfish, but not sailfish.
Yeah, no, I've seen marlin.
And then, is there a difference between a swordfish and a sailfish?
Well, sometimes they call it something else, like "What's orange Ruffy?" Really?
Oh, right.
They rename it, but but usually that's when they're gross looking. This is a cool one.
Stabbed in the crotch, so she won't be ready for Defoe for a while.
Yeah, that's going to take some healing.
Or does that make her more ready?
Oh,
Depends which way it went in.
You might be right.
Oh God! When you guys, we do stories about like someone sack tapping you too hard. I got no thoughts about it. This, my knees are weak thinking about this.
Yeah, probably speared an egg.
It's a pretty fish.
Majestic, but and then what happens? Because the lady's bleeding out, but you got
100-pound sailor fish.
You got a fish.
Yeah.
You just cracked a beer. You got your line in the water.
Look what I caught.
Yeah, there's got to be some tourniquet talk. You know what I mean? I would be the way.
Put a napkin over it.
I try to talk people out of going to the hospital all the time, but this would be a tough sell. But on the other hand, we chartered the ship for 3 hours. We're only 80 minutes in. It
wouldn't really be fair to us.
You want
deposit back
on the wall. You want to hear the
Also-
story about this fish? It's a doozy.
Could attract a shark, chum the waters.
That's right.
Right. Throw her in. Yeah.
All right, let's do one more.
Okay, well, let's talk about the other side of the cute and not so cute animal spectrum. I have been sitting on this story, and it's just never came up, and I think today's the day. A hairless Chinese crested Chihuahua. These things are like straight from hell.
They would win like the ugliest.
Yeah, they're one of those like a face only a mother could love. His name is Mr. Happy Face, and he was crowned the latest winner in the 2022 World's Ugliest Dog Contest in Petaluma, California.
Does he have the blop, the tongue that comes out?
Hold on. We'll show you right away. Now, I've been looking up these dogs because I'm looking up hypoallergenic shit, and some of them look like glam rock stars. They have no hair, but they have these fabulous, like bouffant, actual hair on top of their head. But this guy wasn't so lucky, Mr. Happy Face. You have it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Poor thing. His owner, Janita Banley, said that the title's an honor. In August 2021,
Sounds like Gremlin.
she adopted
Looks like the
dog.
dude who gave me monkeypox.
That's right. She rescued this dog from a hoarder's house, which I believe. Banley said that the winning dog's very old, has many health problems, but says Mr. Happy Face raises awareness that even old dogs need love.
That's the
too.
dog on the right.
That's a good looking
It's
dog.
the dog on the right.
Yeah, it looks
Look
like-
at that poor fucking thing.
Were we discussing this, or was I just thinking about this? That
koala.
this fine line between hoarders and collectors. Were we discussing that?
No. Is
No.
organization the fine line?
No, it's picking a lane.
Oh.
Like if you go to anyone's house who collects all things bunnies or all things hippos, we have some sort of cute reverence for her. Like, oh, that's the bunny lady. Really just a hoarder who hoards one thing.
Yeah.
They're equally miserable. The
Yeah.
house is equally fucked up. Psychologically, if you gave them a PET scan, it would show up the same way in the scanner. But you are, if someone is a hoarder, you're amongst the worst people society has to offer.
True.
And then if you're a collector of one thing and it fills up the entire house, sort of some reverence there.
Yeah,
But
it's
they're all the
quaint.
same fucked up people.
No, you're right. A lot
Yeah.
of porcelain frogs and shit. Oh, because then it becomes like a stop on the tour across Kansas.
I've been to the house of the guy who collects all the Charlie's Angels stuff. That guy was in an apartment. Can we agree that if you're in an apartment, no collecting? You
sounds
got to
good.
get yourself a down payment. Stop buying all the fucking $6 million man lunch pails. Let's focus on your fucking down.
Fair.
You're on
Yes.
eBay all day looking for Charlie's Angels figurines.
And I'm with you on that. The other thing too is you can't, when the rent goes up, you can't call your buddies to help you fucking move when you gotta and now I got to come over with my fucking truck and
Oh,
spend
yeah.
my full
Yeah.
fucking
That's
afternoon
right.
with. You shouldn't have bought this much shit if you live in a little fucking shithole.
Yes.
Good point.
That's
Well,
right.
I have
All
a
right.
buddy who did that once. He's like, "Can you help me get my arcade games out of my apartment?" Why'd you have arcade games in your fucking?
Oh my god, like the
Wait till you buy a house.
wow, like at a Pizza Hut kind of arcade game.
Yeah, like the giant arcade.
Damn.
Well, I'd make fun of your friend, but my first apartment, we had asteroids in the kitchen,
In the kitchen.
and my roommates were like, wanted to switch it to free mode. You know, there's like a switch, unlimited. And I was like, we have enough stoners fucking their girlfriends here already for free and eating my fucking
You're taking
generic
your pound of
cereal.
flesh.
It's a fucking quarter. You want to play this shit. You want to hang out. It's a fucking quarter.
Smart.
At the end of each month, we get like $47 in quarters. And then we go, we're going to the Sherman Oaks Mall. Well,
You
no,
invested in a certificate of
we're
deposit.
buying pot. Then we're going to the mall to watch a movie. Then we're eating Chinese food at the mall. And we're going to take this bucket
Date
of
night.
quarters.
That's smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Date night with 3 dudes.
That's right.
All right. Let's bring her home.
I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Do not ever be the first apartment. Do not be the first apartment amongst the friends.
Oh,
Especially
yeah.
the loser, dumb shit, not
Right.
going to college friends.
Right.
They need a place to do
flop.
drugs. They need a place to flop. They need a place to plow their girlfriend. They need a place to crash when they get into an argument with their girlfriend. Your
Right.
fucking house, your shitty little apartment becomes the place that everyone who can't do shit at home because they live at home are coming. So if you have friends that are like a year below you in high school or whatever, do not get that first apartment. They're all showing up.
Yeah. Same guy, and I think Brian can attest to this. The first guy with a pickup truck.
Oh,
that was
moving,
me.
moving. Me too. I had
Yeah.
the pickup
Terrible.
truck. Yeah, I mean, well, you know, my friend's dad came to crash out before prison. Stay on the sofa for 3 weeks before he went to the joint.
You're literally the halfway house.
All right, let me tell you about the Jordan Harbinger Show, a different kind of sponsor for this podcast. It is the Jordan Harbinger Show. If you like fascinating podcasts and interesting people, then you should definitely check it out. There's an episode for everyone. No matter what you're into, Jordan talks to Scott Adams about persuasion in a world where facts don't matter, or you go inside the dark world of wildlife trafficking. You'll always find something useful to apply to your own life, like routine changes to boost productivity or slight mindset tweaks to change how you see the world. We enjoy the show. We've had Jordan on a few times, been on this show. He's been on me and Drew's show a few times. We know you're going to as well. So it's the Jordan Harbinger Show. That's HARB as in boy, IN as in Nancy, GER. And you find it on Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to finer podcasts. It's the Jordan Harbinger Show. All right, let's see. Wise Guys Comedy Club, August 26th, 27th. That'll be Salt Lake City. We'll do some live pod there and some stand-up there. Wheeler Walker Jr., Sex, Drugs, and Country Music. Got dates coming out. Los Angeles, the Fonda Theater. That'll be tonight. Solana Beach at the Belly Up coming up July 27th. Instagram him at Wheeler Walker Jr. and Eddie Trunk. You can check out Trunk Nation Daily Rock Show. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Wheeler Walker Jr. and Eddie Trunk and Gina Grad and Bald Brian saying mahala.
Yeah, I still get emotional when I listen, but whenever I hear that song, I remember, and I know he meant it as a compliment, but the second the song, like the day the song came out, I got a text from Kid Rock. I know he's a big subject today for some reason. He said, "This makes all your," I know he meant it as a compliment, because this makes all your other songs sound like shit.
Oh, wow.
But I know he means it well, but it's also kind of like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
are my other ones that bad?